Hi, it's Anthony with Lighthouse Construction, and today we're back at the new home build on Lake Eunice, where we're taking you beyond the blueprint. So a quick update on this home. You can see everything's weather tight here. We've started some of the exterior soffit and fascia process, but what's really interesting is what's going on inside this home. So we take a look, and we're currently in the drywalling phase. So what that means is the home has all the mechanicals roughed in, and we've now had the insulation in place, and we're now starting the hanging of the drywall place. So if you take a look at this exterior wall between the house and the garage, you can see we have our studs, our insulation, our poly vapor barrier, and our drywall mounted on the wall. So let's talk a little bit about drywall. Drywall is the most common type of wall finish and ceiling finish in a home. On the walls specifically, we're using a 1/2-inch drywall. You can see here. It gets mounted on this wall space, and then it gets screwed at every stud in the wall. And we can use 1/2 inch for that because this plane is not fighting gravity. Whereas on a ceiling space, we use 5/8 inch drywall. You can see it's thicker. And if you take a look above me, you're gonna see all these screw lines is where our floor joists are. And because there's a potential for sag there, that thicker 5/8 makes sure that there's no sag and you have a perfectly flat and flush ceiling space in this home. Let's take a look at the drywall in this room. You can see we have really smooth butt joints and seams. That's gonna allow us to tape them and have a really nice outcome with how smooth that ends up being. Another thing is where the drywall transitions into the extension jamb of the window, we're looking for a really flush. That way when our casing piece sets there, it's a really clean and it's not angled in any sort of way. If we look at an actual sheet of drywall here, essentially what we have is between two pieces of paper, a gypsum material.
Did you say gypsum? Well, you know what gypsum is. It's a rock. And you know who loves rocks? Jack White Williams III. And I'm here today to tell you a little bit more about calcium sulfate and dihydrate. That's the complicated way to say it, but the easy way to say it is just the good old word gypsum. And gypsum, let me tell you something, it's used for more than just one thing. It's used for cosmetics, it's used for shampoo, it's used for concrete, and the most important thing, drywall. Drywall, drywall, drywall. Boy, I love my gypsum. And let me tell you something, you will too.
Another thing to account for when you're looking at drywall is all of your wall penetration. So in this case, we have outlets here, we have switches, we have ceiling things. Those are all cut out with a router tool to make sure that when it comes time to install the electrical trim outs, all of those things have been accounted for and it creates a nice clean installation process. Let's go take a look at the basement and see how drywall is installed to an ICF application. So in your standard application here, you can see the sheetrock is fastened to these studs that are 16-inch on center. In contrast, with an ICF foundation wall, you actually have these strips that have a plastic tab that allow you to adhere directly to that. So you can see our line here, and you don't actually need to fur this wall out at all. You're applying the drywall directly to that ICF foam, and it creates a really well insulated basement, but it also saves some space because if I had a stud wall here that I had to frame on top of my ICF, that would actually make this room slightly smaller. And you also can see how they were able to have that outlet in there so that'll flush up nicely once that sheetrock has been installed. Today we discussed all the complexities and intricacies that go into drywall. Thanks for joining us where we're taking you beyond the blueprint.